Let's see. Ooh, look at that. Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. Welcome back to what was on sale at the grocery store this week. A trend that I've noticed in one particular grocery store chain where I live is that they're bringing in two kinds of meat and deeply, deeply discounting it. I'm going to start off, I'm going to fry some bacon. So I've got some bacon chopped up. I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to fry it on a fairly low heat. I want the fat to render out, and I don't want the bacon to actually get crispy. I just want to kind of get it cooked through and get it really good. Two trends. One trend is ungraded Mexican beef. Rock bottom prices. And that's freaked some people out. Really freaked some people out. Ungraded Mexican beef. Pretty much what it means is the Mexican grading system and the Canadian grading system don't mesh. Our grading system and the American grading system mesh fairly well, for beef anyway. And so what's graded in the United States can easily be, that grade can easily be transferred to Canadian grading, and they can put a grade on it. Mexican beef, they can't do that because the grading systems are so different. So it comes in, it's safe, it's cheap, it's tasty, and as long as you cook it in a way that, in case it's a low grade, which it probably is, it doesn't get tough. So it's great for stews and soups and that sort of thing. The other thing is this. This was just listed as American pork. Nothing else on the label, just said American pork. It's a half a pork loin. This was 2 kilos of pork for $4 Canadian. Pretty good price, I would think. The only problem is that it's not butchered terribly well. I want to butterfly it. I'm going to make a stuffing. I'm going to butterfly that. I'm going to put the stuffing in, roll it back up, and then roast it. The butterflying may be a little bit difficult because it is not butchered very well. There's some odd shapes and some cuts in there that just seem a little bit strange. But for $4, you can't go wrong, I don't think. Okay, so the bacon is cooking nicely. We've got some fat rendered in the bottom of the pan. I'm going to add in a couple stalks of celery and 2 small diced onions. And we'll just sort of saute that. So what you're witnessing, as always on the show, is really just, me standing in the kitchen and saying, what have I got? What do I want to make? How am I going to put it together? I have sort of a standard stuffing recipe that I use for chickens and turkeys and pork. They're all essentially kind of the same. Most of the time, though, I start it with breakfast sausage, loose breakfast sausage instead of bacon. Didn't have any today, but I had some bacon in the fridge, so we're going to use that. It'll be fine because the flavoring I always use is poultry seasoning, which is heavy on the sage. Breakfast sausage is poultry seasoning. Anyway, here in North America, most breakfast sausage is heavy on the sage. So I'm still going to get that flavor coming through. The onion and the celery, pretty much standard in my recipe. Next in is some apple. What isn't standard is mushroom, but I had some mushrooms left over from pizza night. And they were kind of, reaching the end of their time in the fridge. So I'm going to put those in too. In this preparation, what I'm looking at is pork loin can sometimes be a little dry. And often that is because it's overcooked. I never cook my pork to the government specified safe temperature because I like it a little bit juicier. Adding this stuffing, rolling the stuffing into it is going to bring a little bit more flavor, and it's going to keep the pork juicy. I also always make way too much stuffing. Always too much. Because I love stuffing. I absolutely love stuffing. So whatever doesn't get inside that pork will be put in a little coquette and cooked separately, and I'll have it for the rest of the week just on the side because I like it so much. So a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And I'm going to put in, at this point, about a teaspoon of the poultry seasoning. Taste it as we go along and we'll see where this gets us. Okay, in go the apples. And I don't want to cook this too much. We still want this mixture to be not wet, but certainly we don't want it to dry out. We don't want to drive off too much moisture. So I'm just going to cook this just until the apples start to break down a little bit. You know, we want to keep that moisture because we want that moisture inside the pork as it's cooking. It sort of bastes it as you go. Now, if it gets too dry, a little bit of chicken stock, a little bit of, depending on what you're stuffing, of course, but chicken stock is fairly neutral, brings enough flavor, but it is fairly neutral that you can use it with any other meat later on. Apple juice. Apple juice works. There's a case to be made for white wine, there's a case to be made for beer, there's a case to be made for a bunch of other flavorful liquids that could add something to your end preparation. Freeform it. I know that, you know, people love to have an exact recipe, but I think at the same time, if you can freeform it, you can cook anything, anytime, anywhere. Always feed your family. Okay, and this is totally optional, but, you know, bread. Okay, so I'm going to turn this right down to 1 on my cooktop. I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let that sort of just steam itself with the lid on for the next 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to turn the temperature off, and then I'm going to stick it somewhere to chill it down. I want to get it down to room temperature before I roll it into the pork. Okay, I am not looking forward to this next bit. This is one of those tasks that if you do it regularly, it seems really easy and you could make it look easy. This is something, I can't remember the last time I butterflied open this cut of meat. And I don't know how it's going to go, but I think if you get anything out of the next 3 minutes of this video, it is that if I can do this, you can do this. So it's just take your time. And if you, I've already cut through, and if you cut through, don't worry about it too much. It's going to be fine. You'll get there. Just make sure you've got a sharp knife. And everything is going to be fine. Keep your fingers out of the way too. Sharp knife and keep your fingers out of the way. Okay, that'll do. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not beautiful. It's not Michelin 5-star, but, you know, I got it kind of mostly flat. I'll be able to roll it up. I'll get some stuff inside. It'll be good. So I'm going to salt and pepper on the inside. I mean, as much as the stuffing is also seasoned, it doesn't hurt just to get a little bit extra on the inside as well. And a little bit of salt. And a little bit of the poultry seasoning. Now, it's going to get messy. It's going to get messy, so our stuffing mixture has cooled down. Well, none left over. So much for me having extra stuffing to make a stuffing sandwich later in the week. Now we just roll it up. Some of the stuffing is going to come out the ends. That'll be fine. And the thinner that you were able to cut your butterfly in the first place, the more roll you're going to get. That's about all I'm going to get. So I have made a round string that I can tighten and put that right at the end. Tighten that up. Then I make a loop like this. It's hard to do it for the camera. Let's see. So I make a loop so that it twists there. And I bring that back maybe an inch or so. Tighten it up. Make the loop again, same thing. Slide it under, bring it back another inch or so, tighten it up. Okay, I made it. There are some amazing YouTube channels run by butchers who will be able to show you the process of butterflying and then rolling and tying much better than I can. I think what I wanted to get across to you is the concept of you can take something that was really cheap at the grocery store, bring it home and turn it into something that's special. And even if, you know, you do like I do and you didn't quite get it right, it's still going to be really special when you put it out on the table. Your family is going to go wild for it. And you spent maybe $6 total cost for that much food. Now on the outside, you could go wild. You really could. You could put mustard, spread mustard all over the outside, and stick some rosemary in here underneath the twine. You could put some olive oil on it. That would certainly be really good. If you didn't want to do the mustard as a binder, put olive oil as a binder, and then spread the salt and the pepper on the outside again, just like that. I'm just going really simple, really plain today, and I'm just going to put salt and just a tiny little bit of pepper on the outside. My oven is preheated to 325 degrees. Depending on your oven, this will take anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours to reach an internal temperature that your local authorities deem to be safe. Okay, into the pan, and the pan into the oven. Okay, that's looking really good. Let's see, get it out of the pan and over here to rest. Okay, now I'm going to cover this with tin foil. Just tent it with tin foil. Let it rest. I boiled some potatoes inside so that Julie and I can have supper inside. And I've got the potato water. I'm going to try and make a little bit of gravy. See how that works out. So in goes the potato water. I'm going to bring this up to a boil and I'm going to scrape off what's on the bottom. Okay, I think I've got most of what's on the bottom of this pan scraped up. It's just about to come to a boil. So those of you who watch regularly know what this is. It's just beaten butter. It's butter, equal parts butter and flour mashed together into kind of this paste. And I'm going to put that in and it will thicken this sauce. The butter coats the flour, keeps it from clumping when you put it in, and the butter adds a really nice silkiness to the sauce when it's done. So this will thicken up nicely. Just add tablespoon and a half at a time. Stir it in. Keep it just under the boil and it will thicken. And if you need a little bit more, put a little bit more in. I just grabbed a whisk, made it a little bit easier, but I think that's good. Now you just keep adding it until you reach the thickness that you like. Some people like it thin, some people like it thick. Now, I made too much beurre meunier, which isn't a problem. I'll just roll that in a little bit of saran wrap and stick it in the freezer and it'll keep for months. So the next time I need it, I'll just pull it out. For now, I'll just stick it in the fridge because it's time to cut the roast. Let's see.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Jules.
Is that apple or is that the pineapple you had in the fridge?
No, it's apple.
Okay.
It's apple.
Oh, I thought we were having like some pork and pineapple.
Stuffing made with pineapple. I hadn't even thought of stuffing made with pineapple. Wouldn't that
There
be
you go.
great?
I just assumption I made because we
You
like
like-
the chunks of pineapple in the fridge right now.
Canadian pizza roll-up roast. Wouldn't that be great?
You'd have to put some bacon in there.
Yes. Well, I did. I did because I didn't have any breakfast sausage for the stuffing
Oh,
that
there
I
you go.
normally use. So I put in some bacon. Go ahead.
Let's start with stuffing.
Oh, I did get. Go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting to see.
No.
Okay.
I did get one tiny little extra thing of stuffing for later.
Yay.
All the stuff that fell out.
Stuffing's always good. I love stuffing. But stuffing's funny because, of course, it's like so many things. Everybody's family makes it different.
Yes. And I never make it the same way twice. It's close. It's never really the same way twice. Okay. Gravy.
You have to test your gravy, do you? I might need a smaller piece if I'm testing gravy. Glenn gives it a thumb. Okay, so when would has anyone ever known Glenn not to give gravy a thumbs up? I mean, really.
Okay, so that roast is nice and moist. Mm-hmm. $4 for the pork roast.
Yeah, that was quite the deal.
3 slices of stale bread. Although I had to stale them. I did cut them and leave them on a rack so that they would dry out a little bit. A couple of apples from the bottom of the crisper. Ready to go. A couple of onions from the bottom of the crisper. I mean, stuff that was already on hand. All told, that's $6 worth of meal.
That was a pretty lucky find.
Yeah.
And a lot of gravy.
And it presents as elegant. Right? You know. My ends don't look wonderful, but you could, if you were having a dinner party, you could
Slice it off.
slice that off and put it on a plate for your lunch tomorrow, and then present something wonderful on the dinner table, and nobody would know how cheap that was. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.